Hello and welcome back to another edition of Arab Affairs that bring you the latest happenings inside the Arab region. And of course, we continue through this edition of Arab Affairs to bring you the latest in one of the hottest places or spots inside the Middle East, which is the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian territory, where the innocent, unarmed Palestinians, civilians, are stranded inside the Gaza Strip and being bombarded unfairly by the Israeli occupation and genocidal crimes were seen to the whole world, bombing hospitals, bombing schools, bombing mosques and churches, and killing innocent civilians and children and their parents, and violating international human rights, depriving them of the basic human rights, cutting off electricity, food, and water, and of course even denying them the passage of the humanitarian aid that is delivered or attempts of to be delivered by Egypt. Of course, we're going to be talking about the genocidal crimes and the bombardment and the situation inside the Gaza Strip and more. But first, we're going to go over to this report, and we will be back. Israeli occupation continues its aggression on Gaza Strip for the 190th day running. Palestinian news agency Wafa reported the death of 2 Palestinians in Beit Hanun town in an Israeli raid in the vicinity of Sheikh Zayed residential city in northern Gaza Strip. Occupation military air forces carried out violent raids on central governorates in Gaza City. Occupation artillery forces shelled eastern areas of Jabalia, northern the Strip, and northern Nusayrat and central area of the Strip. The health ministry in Gaza Strip said Israeli bombardments and ground offensives in Gaza have killed more than 33,634 Palestinians and wounded over 76,214 since the 7th of October. In West Bank, Israeli forces shot dead 2 Palestinians, including a member of the armed wing of Hamas, in raids in the occupied West Bank, and Palestinian Health Ministry reported at least 1 person was killed in an Israeli settler rampage near Ramallah. The Israeli military said Mohammed Omar Daragma, whom it described as the head of the Hamas resistance infrastructure of the Tubas area of Jordan Valley, was killed during the exchange of fire with security forces. It said a number of weapons and military-style equipment, including automatic rifles, were found in his vehicle. Hamas confirmed Daragma's death and his membership of its armed Qassam brigade. The official Palestinian news agency Wafa said another man was killed by Israeli forces conducting a raid in Al-Far'a refugee camp in Tubas. Hamas resistance mourned the man's death but did not claim him as a member. The military said forces carrying out Operation Open Fire on Palestinians who threw explosive devices and killed 1 man it said was attempting to attack them. Welcome back. You're still watching Arab Affairs, and with us live over the phone is His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good evening, Ambassador Bayoumy, and happy Eid to you.
Good evening to you, happy Eid to you and all our audience.
Our pleasure. Of course, as we are talking about the situation inside the Gaza Strip, the situation has reached now its 190th day running. And still the death toll is rising, escalating every day by dozens, and also the genocidal crimes are escalating. The bombardment over the civilians areas where civilians are taking shelter, the bombardment over hospitals, over schools, over even houses for civilians is still existing, and even denying the humanitarian aid to reach to the stranded Palestinians inside the Strip. How do you assess the escalation of death tolls of the innocent Palestinians inside the Gaza Strip, and the international community and world power countries are turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's happening?
Very sad story, and the bad news that I expect it to continue. Nobody can stop it, because the whole world is against it, except the Israelis themselves and the United States, who is declaring that they hope that one day a peaceful solution will come. But at the same time, they are helping Israel with weapons, with $14.5 billion aid, with their fleet in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, with their information system being available for the Israelis to continue the killing. It is a double-faced policy, and unfortunately, instead of going to the United Nations, we discover that the United Nations now is the United States. The United States is dominating the whole decision in the United Nations system by the veto, by stopping any reasonable decision. So we have to live with this. But the good news, which is not very good, that the Palestinian resistance, the Palestinian stand is incredible. And really we have to salute and bow for those people who are accepting this situation, who are resisting bravely in the sake of their future and their children and the country. And I hope that one day Israel cannot continue this, not because they want to stop the war, but they cannot continue literally. This is a small country which cannot bear a long war like that, because of course, as you well know, they cannot get all the number of soldiers they want unless they stop their normal life. They have to stop a good portion of their normal life and daily life in order to have all these people the killers of the Palestinians. So we have to live with this, and we, of course, we are knocking all the doors. We went to the United Nations. We have a resolution in the General Assembly supported by 152 countries, but the Security Council is a hopeless case. We, on the bilateral level, we have stories of success with the African Union. African Union considers Palestine as a member, although Palestine is not in Africa. With the Islamic countries, 1,400 million inhabitants, relatively with the European Union, and on the bilateral level also, I follow the efforts of the Egyptian diplomacy on daily basis, whether at the presidential level or the Minister of Foreign Affairs or our ambassadors, and we are doing a very good job in order to make the Palestinians relatively having some of their needs on daily basis.
Exactly. We are talking now about a number of 33,634 innocent Palestinians who fell martyrs to the brutal bombardment by the occupation forces. And of course, wounded reached 76,214 and more. We are talking about a complete silence by the international community that is overpowered by the United States. No matter resolutions are passed, no matter people are abstaining, I mean members are objecting, no matter people, the members are calling for some sanctions to be taken, some objections, anything any type of an action or a legal procedure taken, we are talking also about a complete negligence of international laws. I mean, there was a case that was taken to the court of the International Criminal Court against the Israeli occupation. And even Egypt have taken the case to the International Criminal Court. And until this very moment, nothing have been effected on the real ground. Palestinians are still suffering from genocidal crimes. How do you perceive the upcoming situation?
Yes, it is very sad that we have tens of thousands of victims, but it is more sad than that 70% of them are children, are women, are all people not holding any arm. And hospitals are destroyed, schools are destroyed, even United Nations members of the different organizations of the United Nations were killed. And don't hope that even if we have a resolution from the United Nations, that Israel would respect it. I always mention that Israel never respects any resolution coming from the international community. Even the resolution of 1947, which established Israel, it has a map to divide the land between 51% for the Palestinians and 49% for the Israelis. They do not respect this. They do not respect the signature on the Treaty of Oslo, which was concluded in 1993 between Yasser Arafat and the three Israeli leaders, whether Rabin or Shimon Peres and the president of Israel. Now Netanyahu is telling us that the signature of Israel itself will not be respected. And they are occupying a part of Syria in the Golan Heights, which is not accepted by anybody in the world. Here we are, we have a country which is not abiding to any international law or international court decision, and we have to know this reality in order to continue facing it by all other means.
Right, and also observing the international situation and observing the backbone and the strong launcher and supporter for the Israeli genocidal occupation of the Palestinian territory. U.S. President Joe Biden have referred that Iran is attempting to attack Israel and talked about things of that sort, and even he went on more further to cross the limit and warn Tehran on behalf of Israel not to proceed. And he said in case of an attack, the United States is going to defend, to do all what in its might to be able to defend Israel. How do you assess that statement?
All these are realities. We have to live with it, but we have to continue resisting and allocating the pressure of even the Jewish community in the United States. Some wise Jewish people are not accepting at all what is going on, because it is not in the favor of the long run for Israel itself. How a country can stay while making enemies on all its borders, on the north, on the south, on the east, on the west, and within the Israeli and the Palestinian territory against 7 million Palestinians. How can they live, the Israelis themselves, like that? So even in the Israeli community, we start to listen to some wise men who think that this cannot continue at all. So it is a very long process, and we have to accept this situation. No international law will be mentioned or will be respected by the Israelis, nor by the Americans, or some even European countries.
Right, you're
It is a bad war, it is a silly war, and we have to live with this reality.
Exactly. You mentioned a very important point, which is the average Jews I mean, the Jews in New York, the Jews in Europe, I mean, the normal Jews, not the Zionists.
Yeah.
They were going on strikes side, shoulder to shoulder and side by side with other Europeans and Americans against the genocidal crimes committed by the Israeli occupation, which means that the scene is very obvious to the whole world, even to the Jews. It's obvious now that the far extreme right wing, which is led by Benjamin Netanyahu, is the only sector or the only camp that is taking Israel to a dead end, that is causing problem, and that is, ruining the future of the Israeli government. Now, after the statement that was taken by the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, who said that both Israel and the United States, they stood shoulder to shoulder, despite the differences that happened in the Gaza war, but he said that anything is not going to pull apart the Israeli and the United States relationship, and the United States is continuing to support Israel against any attacks by any country who attempt to take it. So how do you justify the statement by the Israeli Defense Minister?
It is a very sad story, and the problem is not that we have an extremist government. No, they are extremist and ignorant. We have two ministers at least who made some steps against their own country. The one who went to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and tried to stop people from praying. The other who declared a secret that Israel itself has never declared, that they have atomic bomb, and he threatened the Palestinians to use it. So you are not, our problem is not that we are facing extremists, but also ignorant people who do not know how to rule their own country. And we have, on top of that, the Prime Minister who is requested for the justice in his own country because of criminal action he did. And this war is the only way for him to escape from going to the jail. Very complicated situation. Making the war is the only option for this government. And this government is ignorant. And it's not only that they have the power, but they are making all the effort to use this power in a wrong way. Here we are. And we have to live with this, we have to deal with this.
Exactly. My final question to you, Your Excellency, we all know that Israel, United States has the ultimate power and is controlling the whole situation, and Israel, without the United States, this situation could have been sorted out in only 3 days. But also observing the situation, there are other parts and other camps like Lebanon, like Iran, like Yemen, like Egypt even, who's taking a very strong stance and very definite stance, because President Abdel Fattah Sisi have on and on repeated that Egypt is not going to allow any collective punishment, is not going to allow the idea of displacement. I mean, the president had made it very clear to them. So what do you expect the coming scenario to unfold in the coming period, in the coming future period?
We continue doing our efforts, we explain, and I don't think the Israelis that will accept such a government to continue to make life in the normal, the land cannot be like that. So they are asking for a change for them, and I think the Israelis themselves, they will try to change their government for the sake of peace, because the peace process which Egypt offered in the 70s, it was to, the message was to the layman in Israel that you can gain through peace and normal relation much more than you gain by war and killing people. And the message is quite well read there. As you well know, I was the head of the Department of Israel in the Foreign Office, and I visited Palestine territory, and I know that there are a lot of Israelis are looking to the peace process of Egypt, which started in the 70s with a very positive way, because it gives them normal life. So we depend on this, and I hope one day this will take place, and we shall get rid of this ignorant government and extremist government.
Right. On this note, of course, we cross our fingers in sharing these aspirations with you and hopes. Of course, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumy, Your Excellency, thank you so much. You are a former Assistant Foreign Minister, and happy Eid Fitr to you. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll come back to you after this short break.